What's going on, everyone? It's your boy back at you again with another issue of Tommy Loves X-Men. First off, a little bit about the lighting. We're having really weird weather here in California. Yesterday we had an orange sky, like a blood orange, terrifying ass sky. So if the light looks a little bit weird, it's because in the studio here where I film, it's a big window and it's kind of coming in weird. Hopefully light will be better later on in episodes. Anyway, that's besides the point. Here we're talking X-Men. We ain't talking weather. We're talking X-Men number 13 from September 1965. Written, as always, so far, by Stan Lee and art by Jack King Kirby. This one is called Where Walks the Juggernaut. Now, if you remember from the last issue, the Juggernaut, Professor Charles Xavier's half-brother, Kane Marco, is heading towards the X-Mansion to get some sweet, sweet revenge on Papa Chuck. Because as we join this issue, we're reminded that there was a cave-in the cave in Korea where Charles and Kane were, and cave-in in Kane Cave. You get it. There was a cave-in with the brothers when he got the amulet, the ruby, that turned him into the Juggernaut. And then Charles was like, oh, well, I'll see ya. And then he took off. Now, the implication they give in this issue is that the Juggernaut has been burrowing out of this cave ever since. So they fought in Korea together. Then Charles went home, lived his normal-ass life, decided, you know what, I'm going to teach mutants now. That's going to be my thing. And started a school, found 5 kids. They had 12 issues of shenanigans, 11 issues if you're counting this 2-part or whatever. 11 issues of shenanigans before he gets out this cave, and then he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go home because Charles probably just set up this school I've been hearing about as I've been traveling at our childhood home. So I'm gonna go home and find him because I know he's there. So I'm not saying Charles doesn't have a receipt coming his way, but he got a receipt coming his way, and Juggernaut's the bad guy. He left him to die. Anyway, Papa Chuck get worse in this issue, you'll see. So, we keep emphasizing how unstoppable the Juggernaut is, even though in every scene he's kind of just standing around. And the way they draw him is kind of like a stick of deodorant. It's just kind of curved like that, and like a popsicle, almost. Just like a giant popsicle with muscular arms and legs. But, yeah, still, Juggernaut, I think he's awesome, don't get me wrong. So, first he tries to mind mess with them, and he realizes that the helmet, for some reason he realized that real quick, that the helmet is impervious to psychic attack. Now, I know when Magneto hears about that, he's going to be like, what? You mean there's helmets that's impervious to psychic attack? Why didn't I think of that? And he does later. I mean, maybe Juggernaut sells him the technology, we don't know. But, so Charles takes off the battle. He's like, X-Men, handle my light work. And he goes off somewhere to build this helmet that'll amplify his psychic powers. Like later on, it looks like the helmet that they use for Cerebro in the movies and kind of in the comics later. But for right now, Cerebro is like basically this desk computer thing that he built. So he leaves Cyclops, Angel, and Iceman and Beast to take over battling the Juggernaut. Iceman gets hurt right away. Cyclops and Angel aren't doing much better. They're getting knocked around. Charles is like, Jean, you're with me. Because I guess she's going to be this last line of defense once, these guys get taken out. So he sends out his signal, his SOS, his XOS, maybe, I don't know. That wasn't too funny. That was stupid. He sends out his distress signal, and the first person it actually hits in a small one-panel cameo is Matt Murdock, a.k.a. Daredevil. And he's actually in court being Matt Murdock. He ain't on the streets with his billy club. He's defending somebody, and then he just kind of... That was weird. And then he kind of goes about his business, so it doesn't reach him. But it's a cool cameo to see Matt up in the X-Men. He ends up reaching the Human Torch. Another awesome cameo for this issue. The Human Torch is razzing some bad guy, and then he gets... I take it back, he's not fighting a bad guy, actually. He was like cruising down the street, not in his 6'4". But yeah, he was cruising down the street, and then he gets a call from Charles Xavier, and he's like, we need help, and I'm going to mentally lead you to where we're going. I'm not going to give you no address. Don't drive there. Fly. Like, turn into a flaming Human Torch and fly, and I'm gonna Google Maps you in your mind the location of the mansion. He's like, all right, that's weird. Now, later on, years later, when Google Maps was a thing, even before that, MapQuest kids, you don't know, but back in the day, we had to print out our stuff and look at it like, okay, turn at the McDonald's, and yeah. But we had to do that, and when all that started, Charles was like, God, I could have made bank doing this. But yeah, so anyway, the torch gets there, and he's like, all right, what's the plan? So Scott, noble leader that he is, optic beams shoots the Juggernaut in the back of the head while he's not even looking. And the torch is distracting him, but the beam hit some kind of friggin' latch or something, I don't know what, but it loosened the helmet. It loosened the unstoppable Juggernaut's helmet, and he gets distracted by the Human Torch kind of flying circles around him. And it's almost like an up when they're like, squirrel! And yeah, Juggernaut was like, squirrel! Human Torch, look at him go. It's incredible. And then Angel flies by and picks up the helmet and rips it off. Now, Angel don't get too many W's in these battles. Usually he's the first one in. He's the first one taken out. Iceman's on the ground. Beast, I forgot to mention, tried to take Juggernaut on one-on-one when Cyclops and Angel were kind of down and out. And the Juggernaut ends up breaking Hank's leg. Like, straight up breaking it. Like, he is down for the count. He ain't coming back to this fight. Everybody else kind of knocked out or stunned. Iceman was not a factor in this issue because he got beat up pretty bad. Anyway, so the helmet comes off, and you think, oh, let me just take care of him real quick. But no. You ain't Papa Chuck. You ain't thinking like Papa Chuck, son. Papa Chuck decides to talk a gang of mess to his brother like, oh, you so big and bad now, huh? What, you can't move because I got the mind meld on you. I got the whammy on you, dude. And so he just stands there talking crap to him and then just knocks him out like that. Now, the Human Torch, guess he's not familiar with psychics or mutants yet because they're still kind of in hiding or whatever. So Charles, he's like, what happened? You just looked at him and he passed out. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to call the cops. Don't worry. I do my thing. Don't you worry. He was scared of me more than I was scared of him. I mean, we really didn't need you, but I figured since you're in the area. And then, before he can question anything else, being the great, awesome dude that he is, there's heavy sarcasm in that if you didn't pick it up, because I was laying it on pretty thick. Papa Chuck mind wipes the Human Torch. He's like, well, I can't have him know where we live, because then he's going to want to come over and hang out all the time. And he mind wipes the Human Torch. Like, that's the kind of thank you that you give. You're like, oh, thanks. Now you're not going to remember that you helped us. That's what his mind meld sounds like to me in my head when I'm reading it. But yeah, I'm not going to say Charles wrote Men in Black, but definitely somebody reading this of his adventures wrote Men in Black and was like, you know what? Mind wipes, that's the key. That's what we're going to do. That was a little stick thing. I wish I had a stick prop. I should have thought this through. Anyway, so he mind wipes the torch and then sends him back to the Baxter building. You see what big a fan of Fantastic Four I am. I can't even barely remember their name. Anyway, of the building. And yeah, so the issue ends with the X-Men are all hurt. They're actually all in hospital beds. And Beast is, in a cast from like hip to leg. His legs tore up. Iceman's hurt, Cyclops, Angel, they're all hurt. Jean is helping nurse them to recovery by wearing an actual nurse's costume. Like, one, why did they have one ready to go for her? Two, why did she agree to put it on? And three, how does that help anything? That she's dressed as a nurse? I don't know. But that just to give us Angel, to give us this issue's Jean's hot. So he's like, dang, Nurse Jean, what up? And then Cyclops is like, oh no, I'm losing her. I don't have her, but I'm losing her. End of issue. Now, it ended weird with Jean dressed as a nurse. But, final thoughts. This was a 9 out of 10, man. Last issue was good with the backstory, even though I thought it was funny that, like, he kept coming towards him and the X-Men were getting apprehensive, but Charles was like, yeah, let me finish my story. The story had no bearing on this issue. Like, what they needed to know was basically, like, you have to get your ass whipped. That's all he could have said. In about 10 seconds, But instead he gave them this story, and they all got hurt because they were unprepared, because Papa Chuck don't care. He's mind-wiping people, he's talking crap to people while they're psychically incapacitated. He's leaving his brother in a cave to die. His stepbrother, I mean, I know he was a jerk to him, but dang, you don't leave family to die. Well, most of them. Anyway, exceptions. But anyway, 9 out of 10. This had great action the whole issue. I thought the cameos were incredible by Matt Murdock, Daredevil, and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. I like Daredevil more than I like the Torch. If I'm going Fantastic Four, the Thing's my guy. But yeah, this was Papa Chuck in peak jerk mode. You know, he was a classic jerk in this one that I'm starting to love him for. Like, I didn't realize Charles was this bad reading, you know, as a kid. Anyway, and also I liked at the end, even though the X-Men were hurt, we do see that their battles kind of have consequences. You know, it's not like they're smiling, having a good time, they razz Magneto, and then tomorrow we're going to pick on Quicksilver or whatever. Their battles have consequences, and their injuries are real, they are healing up, and we'll actually see that in the beginning of the next issue as well, which we will check out next time. This has been Tommy Reads X-Men, X-Men issue 13. Thanks for checking it out with me, and I hope you're back for the next issue. Later.